Welcome into the Paul Farrington Show. Paul Farrington joined by Robert Ziggy Ziegler up at Harvard University. Ziggy, if we could have Commanders and Bears from Washington every single week of the season, I'd take it. I would absolutely take it. It's just every single game these guys have now. It comes down to the wire. It's thrilling. The drama is top charts. I loved every single second of that game tonight.
That was one of the more exciting games of football I've seen in a long time. And it all starts with DeAndre Swift, the engine of the Bears offense.
Oh,
How many times have people made fun of me for saying that DeAndre Swift is the guy the Bears need to turn to in their must win situations? Of course, we're going to review this whole game. We'll talk about our reactions. We'll look forward to for Chicago and the Commanders. But as maybe the number one DeAndre Swift believer in the entire NFL media sphere, can this guy finally get some respect?
well, yeah. I mean, I was so annoyed because for anyone else who had big fantasy games today coming down to the wire in the league I'm in with Ziggy, undefeated team this year, and I have Josh Allen and Debo Samuel tonight against DeAndre freaking Swift, and I'm sitting there in the fourth quarter after Allen's clunker, like, all right, I'm up 4 points, just need Swift to stay in check here, and of course the 60-yard screen or 60-yard out route touchdown to Swift, and like or was it a wheel? I can't remember what route he ran on that, but still, DeAndre Swift just had an awesome game tonight. And if you're a Bears fan, man, I was texting with a bunch of them tonight, and I'm getting most Bears game I've ever seen. Our good buddy Weston Dell freaking out over the referees and the officiating. Bears Twitter was going berserk, and for this to end the way it did, right as they're approaching field goal range, you're looking at the conditions on the field, the rain's pouring down. You're like, we all know how this ends, right? We've seen this story a million times with the Chicago Bears. And I just felt really, really good. I felt really, really good tonight for who wound up kicking the field goal? Who was it? It was who,
Jake Moody.
Jake Moody. Yeah, Jake Moody comes in for Eddie Pinheiro and hits the game winner after having a kick blocked earlier. I thought it was a great win for the Bears. And look, don't look now, but they're 3-2. And Chicago's right there. So we got to start taking them seriously in the NFC to some degree, right?
This game had the potential to derail the Bears season. I
Oh,
remember I
for
texted
sure.
you about this when that Caleb Williams messed up snap into the blocked field goal. The Bears of last year, the Bears of Matt Eberflus, that that would have been it. The team mentally would not have been able to recover. You saw Caleb Williams struggling on the sidelines after it, looking for someone to blame. Like, if last year that is the end of the game, that's probably the end of the Bears season. They're 2-3. They're coming off a brutal loss.
Yep.
The culture is changing in Chicago. Now, when you talk about them being contender, like being a team we need to pay attention to in the NFC, I'm still not sure they're going to make the playoffs. They're at best the third best team in their own division. But if you are a Bears fan, the reason Bears fans are so excited and deserve to be so excited, it has been a long time since the Bears have had a team that can win these kinds of games against a good opponent on the road, season on the line, back against the wall to show up and play certainly not perfect football, but football that was good enough to win. For Caleb Williams not to play as well as Jayden Daniels, but not to let the Bears fall behind. For the defense to have far and away their best performance of the year in this game,
Mm-hmm.
huge win for Chicago.
You're absolutely right that last week or 2 weeks ago against the Raiders and tonight against Washington, those were the games that the Chicago Bears always lose. Right. Instead, they had the block kick for a touchdown. They walk it off tonight. We're watching the game tonight, and every single time something could go wrong, it seemed like it went wrong for the Bears. Whether or not the refs were bad tonight, we all know that. But yeah, the Nashawn Wright face mask, which I couldn't really get a good angle on that. I didn't see if the broadcast had a good angle. I know Bears fans were up in arms. That continues a Washington drive that leads to a touchdown. You have the 4th-and-1 failure early in the game. The horrendous call on the Benedict illegal formation, which I still can't really fathom how that wasn't a Rome Odunze touchdown. And the blocked field goal, which comes, of course, after Caleb fumbles the snap and they lose 5 yards. If you're a Bears fan, you're watching all this and you're going, are you kidding me? Like, this is happening again in this damn building. And I don't know if the football gods just so happened to smile on Chicago tonight when the Commanders crossed the 50-yard line and they opened up a downpour. But Jayden Daniels botches the snap as Chicago jumps on it. And next thing you know, Caleb Williams has the opportunity to go win it. And yeah, he had an up and down day. I thought for the most part, Caleb was pretty good tonight. Just a few plays didn't go their way. But he gets him down the field, and DeAndre Swift with a couple big runs sets up that game-winning field goal. It's a massive win. It's just a massive, massive win for the Bears, who feel different. They just feel like a different team right now, and have won 3 in a row. Right after that start to the year, with the collapse in the fourth quarter against the Vikings and the blowout in Detroit, Bears fans were freaking out, and we told them just relax a little bit, have some confidence. And here you are, 3-2, feeling really good about the upcoming slate.
Yeah, and I'm seeing some Packers fans in our comments here saying that the Bears were lucky to win this game. Things certainly broke the way the Bears needed to at the end, but plenty of things broke against Chicago too. Again, it's, I think, the thing that felt different about this game and why I'm comfortable saying they're back is,
Well, back.
if
Wait,
you
wait,
look
wait,
at,
wait, 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 wait. I don't know about. I mean, look, we got Emerson Dell, our member here, saying Bears are back.
look, I'm not saying they're back to being Super Bowl contenders.
Back to
I'm
what?
saying that I'm willing to stake it. This game makes me believe they are back to being a competent NFL team.
Fair enough.
That is what I'm saying. And if you are a Bears fan, it has been a long time since you could sit back and say this is a competent NFL team. It's been no more recent than the 2018 run, and it might even be older than that. Like, they, if you look at the sum total of the game, right? You look at the penalties, you look at the turnovers, you look at the third and fourth down efficiency, you look at how the offense played, how the defense played. Overall, I think they played a better game than Washington. And this Commanders team, to be clear, is not bad.
No, this is a very good Washington team. They outgained them tonight, 381 to 329. Time of possession was very close, so about equal. And they lost. I mean, they won the turnover about 3-0. That was a massive, massive contributor. We talked about that with Andy, right? We had the Andy Herman show coming out tomorrow. You win the turnover battle.
It is too bad that we had to record that Andy show before this game. I would have loved to hear what he had to say about the Bears after this.
We're at the end of the game there when Jake Moody was lining up that kick, Ziggy. Were you rooting for it to go in?
No, I don't want to finish last in the division.
You know, it's funny, and people might get upset with me. I'm watching that, and after having the kick blocked, walking in off the streets basically for this game, I kind of wanted it to go in for Chicago. I'm not too worried about the Bears like winning. Well, first off, I don't really think.
Paul, we're going to finish last in the division. You realize that,
I don't
right?
care.
The Bears are a better team than the Minnesota Vikings.
If the Vikings finish third or fourth, it doesn't matter to me. Like, finishing last in the division means nothing. If we're competing for the division at the end of the year and it's us and the Bears, then I'm gonna look back and go like, wow, I wish I hadn't rooted for that kick to go in. But as it stood tonight, I was like, I was kind of happy for him. I was happy for Weston Dell. I was happy for our buddy Tim, all the Chicago people we know. Like, this has been a long time coming, and this game in particular has been one that Bears fans have had to relive. We were at the draft. Remember, we were at the NFL draft, and in the Green Bay green room, they're showing the highlights of the Hail Mary last year. Like, this win, I'm wondering if this win tonight for the Bears can have the opposite effect of what the loss had for them last year, where they go into that tailspin of 10 losses in a row, right? 4-2 start turns into just a disaster year. And now the Bears are 3-2 with their next 5 games being hosting the Saints, at Baltimore, at the Bengals, hosting the Giants, at the Vikings. You want that to be at least 3-2. And then you're sitting at 6-4. Playoffs are in sight if you're a Bears fan, which is crazy to think about with the way the fan base felt after the first 2 weeks.
Yeah, this does not. If you wanted a reason to believe that Ben Johnson was the person to turn this team around, again, you can't draw too many conclusions from a single game, but the Bears have won 3 in a row. And the Cowboys win and the Commanders win both. We've discovered that Cowboys team is not bad, right? Caleb Williams carving them up, them giving Dak his worst performance of the season.
That defense is bad.
Sure, but like the combination of the offense playing well and the defense really limiting Dak Prescott, it turns out that means something. The Raiders game, that wasn't a great game, but they got it done. This Commanders game was a road victory against an NFC likely playoff team. And as you say, Lamar will be back for the Ravens at that point. That will be a tough game, but the Bears have a chance to build some real momentum here.
They have
At
a
the end
real
of the day, like
opportunity.
if as you say, if you're 6-4 or even
7-3.
7-3 does not feel out of the question with that, you're way ahead of schedule if you're Chicago.
And with this NFL season, we'll probably briefly talk about the Bills a little later tonight, but the Bills are losing to the Falcons, and the Eagles lost to the Giants, and Detroit lost. Like, this year is just, it's so all over the place. It's so open, it feels right now. I mean, you ask 10 different people their power rankings, where you're saying you're probably going to get 10 different answers. Uh, you got to just feel happy to walk away with the wins, and you could kind of carve your own paths or if you're like playing around in your head, you can figure out a path for where your team, for if you're anyone right now, really outside of a handful, can get to the playoffs. And that's, I think that's super fun. I love where the league is at this year, with the lack of star power or super teams. Um, but you know what?
Okay, no, you've staked your position for so long as I love super teams. I don't want to hear
I
it.
no, I do not like super teams. I've what? When has that
Yeah,
ever
says the
been?
guy's been rooting for Kansas City for like 10
No, no,
years.
no, 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 no. If I need to clarify this, I will. I I enjoy the AFC super teams beating the NFC teams in the Super Bowl. I'm not a super team fan, but I root for Mahomes. I root for Brady to beat up on all the NFC
I'm
teams
not
that
a
we
super
couldn't.
team fan. I just root for Tom Brady and Patrick Mahomes to keep winning Super Bowls. Yeah, okay, man.
I will say, going back to Ben Johnson here, everything that I see him doing, other than like the first couple weeks, he had the horrendous mistake of with the kickoff against Minnesota. And at times you were watching him early on in the season, you're going like, all right, is he maybe in a little bit over his head? I think he's grown up a lot too. And in the big picture, everything you're reading about Chicago, I mean, it takes a lot to turn around these organizations. Like Dan Campbell turning around Detroit did not happen overnight. They had some really really bad moments with Dan Campbell there. You look at the Jets right now. Aaron Glenn has a really difficult situation ahead of him. This is not fixed in Chicago. Like, I know tonight's a great win. You're 3-2. This is awesome if you're a Bears fan, but there's still a long way to go. Like this, and better than anyone, Chicago fans, that this could fall apart at any moment. But I do feel like for the first time, really in really in my life, for the first time, I'm looking at the Chicago team. I'm looking at the Chicago coaching staff, and it feels like there's that opportunity to get out of the gutter, because I believe in Ben Johnson, and I think Caleb Williams is really just those handful of boneheaded plays away from being a very good quarterback in this league.
I'll say I've got something to say that, but before I say that, I'll say if you're enjoying watching this video, feel free to like, comment, especially subscribe. If you're a Bears fan in here, we react to almost every NFC North game. We'd love to keep doing more Bears content. The more Bears fans that show up, the more we will talk about your team. So click that subscribe button. You'll get to see plenty more from us. The one thing I'll say, Paul, again, we've got a lot of people in here saying, like, this channel is primarily Packers fans saying the Packers are still better than Chicago. The Packers are going to beat Chicago.
Certainly. Yeah.
Yeah, that's probably true. But the goal for Chicago this season, we said it week one with Andy Herman. The goal is to have reason for Caleb Williams to look good and to have objective grounds for optimism, to believe that this Ben Johnson experiment could finally be the things that turn things around. And even if you like lose a bunch more games, even if you don't make the playoffs, even if this Bears team finishes below 500, if they play football like this for the rest of the season, even if this Commanders game, like you're on the other side of it and you lose by one instead of winning by one, I think there's a lot of reason to believe that things can get better. Like it's been a long time since we've seen a Bears team take disappointment and rather than folding and giving up, channeling that and using it to lead to a big moment to win the game. Like
Absolutely.
when was the last time you saw a Chicago team able to handle something like this?
No, even if you just go back over like the eras of Chicago football, right? Mitch Trubisky had the unbelievable year where I believe they were 13-3, Khalil Mack's first year in Chicago when we were in college together. And there was like a special feeling to that year, but the special feeling was, okay, the defense is forcing 30 turnovers and they're getting just enough done. I thought Nagy had a really good coaching year. They were creative, they were fun, but at no point did you look at Mitch Trubisky seriously if you were an outsider. Because in Indiana, where we were, right next to Chicago, a lot of people were buying into it. you could just tell watching these games, like, okay, this is not the future. It's not going to work out long term. You go back to like the Jay Cutler teams. I know they made an NFC Championship game against Green Bay, which they lost. But even watching those Bears teams, I remember thinking, like, how the hell are the Bears in the NFC Championship game? It's like even the Super Bowl team they had with Rex Grossman, like they just don't have that franchise quarterback. And Caleb's starting to get there. I think he's gonna do it. I really do. He had like, Drake May is starting to evolve right now. Jayden Daniels obviously is a star. This quarterback class is looking like a special one that came out a few years ago, and I think Caleb's going to be able to reach some pretty high highs here. But it's exciting. It's exciting to think about the NFC North right now. Obviously, also a little upsetting as a Viking fan. But someone, I think Pug put it in the comment section here. Every team is above 600. it's just a really good division so far. And if the Vikings can pull it together and JJ McCarthy can figure it out, we're looking at a really, really fun race over the next 12 weeks here.
Well, it'll be a really fun race between three teams because JJ McCarthy is not going to figure it out.
Yeah, I mean, I probably agree with you there. Weston Dell, thanks for the great analysis, Paul and Ziggy. Things are looking up in Chicago. Go Bears. That's the Weston Dell we always refer to. If you haven't put that together there, congratulations, Weston. Weston was ready to go to bed when it was like a 1-point game in the third quarter, and Ziggy goes like, "What, Wes? Lock in." You were rewarded for staying up, Weston. But yeah, I actually was starting to think, Ziggy, just now, if we're talking about the Bears going 7-3 or 6-4, they'll be competing for the NFC North at that point in time, right? Like if you're 7-3, the Detroit schedule and the Packers, the Packers have a couple big games. They have Philly, they have Detroit on Thanksgiving. It would be wild if we're sitting there in week 11, week 12, and the Bears are right in the thick of things in the NFC North. But that's a real possibility right now. We have to acknowledge that could happen.
Yeah, well, we'll see. It's all these NFC North teams have pretty difficult schedules remaining, just because of how
It's a tough year.
divisional play works. I mean, Detroit has far and away the hardest, but yeah, I mean, if you're 6-4, until you're mathematically eliminated, you're always competing for the division. Again, I do not think the Bears are a serious contender to win the NFC North. Like, I would not put very much stock in that at all.
I don't think so either. But if you're 7-3, or 6-4 even, and they're a game out,
If you're Chicago, it's an honor just to be nominated. It's just to be up there as a team that could compete.
So Jack, I'm assuming not our Jack from the show, goes, "What an effing fluke win! I want to scream." I don't think it was a fluke win.
It feels like a fluke win because crazy things went their way at the end, but crazy things also went against them very close to the end. Like the Bears on the whole played as good a game as the Commanders.
Look, the Washington missed a field goal. The Bears had a kick blocked. The Bears had that horrible penalty on the Adunze touchdown. The Bears had a 4th and 1 they didn't convert. Washington had the fumble at the end, which was horrible. That is the one that makes it feel fluky. Is the Commanders were about to put the game to bed, and next thing you know, ball's on the ground. Chicago has it at the 50-yard line. There's a degree of a flukiness to that, but if you look over the course of the entire game, it was just a messy game, and that's what kind of made it fun. Was you had these two teams with quarterbacks from the same draft class, a rematch of last year, having a bunch of mistakes, a bunch of big plays, but that's how it was. I didn't walk away from this game saying, man, Chicago, like Washington totally fell apart and gave Chicago the game. It was pouring rain and they fumbled. That's why at the end there, I couldn't figure out for the life of me, Ziggy. It was 3rd and 6, I believe. I just want to make sure I get this the play right here. When Chicago was driving for the game-winning field goal, and they had third down. It was 3rd and 4. Wait, no. This is the start of the game. Let me just find the right one here. Okay. Yeah, on the game-winning drive, they had...
Are you thinking like that second
the 3rd
and
5.
play?
The 3rd and 5 from the 50-yard line. And it was the pass to Loveland for the first down, 6 yards. I couldn't figure out, and sometimes you see this in football, why the hell is Washington dropping into a zone that's playing 7 yards deep on a 3rd and 5? Like Loveland ran to the line of scrimmage. Caleb, it was a good play for Chicago, right? Like you just dump it off to him. It's first down. Drive continues. I was watching the game, like almost yelling at the TV, "What are you doing?" And I've seen the Vikings do it before. I think we lost to Detroit when they finally won with Goff for the first time, where they had a goal to go situation to win the game or with the game on the line. And we had our guy like 4 yards in the end zone. Amon-Ra just ran a curl. And it was like game over. Like it makes no sense to me. And I don't know if anyone else noticed that watching the game, but I couldn't figure out what the hell the Commanders were thinking, just giving Chicago a first down.
Well, I will say this, you have to look at the way the Bears called the play a little bit. Typically in this game, they were taking shots well beyond the line of scrimmage. Dan Quinn got aggressive. He thought that Caleb Williams, for most of the game, Caleb Williams on third down situations was not taking the like easy play that probably gets you the first down.
Yeah.
Like we saw that throughout the game. If you go back and watch this, you'll see that was one of the things he struggled with, was knowing on third and medium, you've got to just take whatever gets you there. That was a situation, whatever conversation he'd had on the sideline, whatever he'd seen on the tab, like whatever, he made a play that he hadn't made for a lot of the night. The Commanders thought they had a read on him, and Caleb Williams did something smart. So look, I mean, I'm not saying I think that's the defense they should have played. Fair enough. But like, it makes sense why I can see what Dan Quinn was thinking, and it just happened to not work out.
Yeah, I understand
Look,
what you're saying.
I'm not saying it was like a smart play, but if you're wondering the causal explanation, why did this happen? That's what happened.
I guess so. It's just in that situation, I wouldn't have imagined Caleb taking a shot where you just get the first down.
But that's
Yeah.
what he did all game.
I guess so. Look, maybe I should try and be a coach or something. But we have someone Michael Merrill's point out, the Bears got away with a close delay of game twice in that final drive. I actually thought they got away with the delay of game too on the DeAndre Swift touchdown pass, which
No, they didn't.
Which ended my fantasy night. But I'm pretty sure that was a delay of game. But look,
no, it's a DeAndre. There's never DeAndre Swift. The play starts when DeAndre Swift decides it starts.
Look, that's kind of how the game went. There were a lot of bad calls tonight, and I think more.
Yeah, it's like I can't sit back here and say the Bears got bailed out by the refs after the calls that didn't go their way.
Exactly, after what happened to them. But it's a great win, and it's one that feels like maybe they could actually really get some momentum out of this one here. 3 wins in a row for Chicago.
Well, yeah, this is why next week against the Saints is going to be a huge test for this Bears team, because we've seen now. Well, no. So here's why, right? It's like one thing perennial loser NFL franchises struggle to do. I'm sorry, the Bears are perennial losers. Is when things go your way, taking that mental step back, saying we've got to prepare for the Saints, and like playing a good game of football, right? We need to see it, this Bears team. I'm not saying that like if they beat this Saints team, they're a legit contender. I'm saying that we don't actually know if this Bears team can keep this momentum going. They've done a very good job up until this point, but this was a huge emotional win for the team. I think much more emotional than either that Raiders game or that Cowboys game.
Yes, it's going
to be
a monkey off the shoulder kind of a game.
Yeah, and once the monkey's off the shoulder, you can't look back at that monkey. You've got to stay focused on what's ahead of you. You got to stay focused on beating New Orleans. And I think that Ben Johnson, the Bears, will be able to do this. Putting together a 3-game winning streak after their start to the season shows something. But like, we're looking at the Bears' schedule. We're playing the schedule game. We're saying there's a lot of easy teams there. The Bengals had an opportunity to beat the Packers. The Giants just beat the Eagles. The Minnesota Vikings, we've already beaten Chicago. The Saints have looked less awful than usual. The Steelers have Aaron Rodgers. Like, all of these are games you can look at them and say Chicago should win. These are games Chicago could lose too.
Oh, absolutely, they can lose. And remember, they were 4-2 last year as well. If they beat the Saints, even if they beat New Orleans, 4-2 both years, things can fall apart very quickly. But this is exactly where you want it to be if you were a Bears fan. It may not have been the path you were expecting to get there. But if you were told you were 3-2 with a huge win against Washington, you'd sign up for that. Now it's exactly what you said. Can they start that swing into actually being a good football team? And if you're a good football team,
you don't need to be good. You just need to be competent.
Sure, competent. But if you're a competent team this season, you're beating the Saints. If you're a competent team this season, you're beating the Bengals. If you're a good team, right? I don't want to say competent. Well, the Eagles are not competent right now. If you're a competent
team, Eagles are a good team that's incompetent.
If you're a competent team, you should probably beat the Giants at home. I mean, that's that. We'll see how Jackson Dart evolves here. But even the Ravens, the Ravens defense has stopped no one. Like that's not an
You
automatic
should at least
loss.
force them into a shootout.
Yeah, that's not an automatic loss. Like Chicago has some real opportunity in front of them now. And I think this can absolutely be the kind of game that rallies everyone together. As far as Washington goes, like that's a tough loss. like it's a great win for Chicago. It's a really tough loss for the Commanders, who it does feel, again, if you're a Commander fan, probably feels like you gave the game away. I think in the grand scheme of it, as I mentioned before, things were going against both teams the whole night. But Washington is trying to keep pace with Philly. And right after seeing the Eagles lose to the Giants, you're going, okay, we get the Bears at home. Like, let's get this win here, tie for the division lead. Like, that's a bad loss. And they've kind of been a confusing team this year. You absolutely see the elements of what they can be. With Jayden Daniels is so good. And I thought his escapability all night was awesome. It just, when you have 3 turnovers, you miss a field goal as well. They shot themselves in the foot too many times.
Yeah, and as much as we're talking about the relatively easy Chicago schedule coming up, the Commanders, their next 4 games, you go to Dallas, which is not as easy an out as we might have thought at the start of the season. You go to Kansas City, you host the Seahawks, and you host the Lions. For a team that's not just trying, like the Bears, they can sort of do whatever they want because they're just trying to look okay. The Commanders were thinking, we made it to the NFC Championship last year. We want to win a Super Bowl.
Look what they did this offseason, right?
You're in danger of being below 500 after week 10. Like they've got to figure things out fast, especially given that if Philadelphia figures things out before the end of December, they're going to have to play Philly right at the end of the season, probably trying to keep their playoff hopes alive.
Let me ask you this right now. More or less likely that the Commanders make or miss the playoffs?
We'll have to see how things shake out in the NFC standings, but given the NFC West has 3 teams that are 4-2, given the NFC North, every team right now is above 500. Given the Falcons can apparently play pretty decent football.
What a weird team.
They've still got a lot of in-division games. I'm putting it like 45-55. They make the playoffs.
I think it's more likely they miss. And we said that before the year as well. We mentioned that this team was probably closer to a 10-7 team than at the 12-5 team they were last year. And this is not saying the Commanders are bad. It's just given, they got hot at the right time. And now you're looking ahead at this team and it's like they're good. I mean, any week you don't want to play the Commanders. That's a tough game for you. But given the state of the league with how many, in the NFC, you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 teams over 500 right now. A win against the Bears at home is one that you feel like you need to have. So
honestly, if you lose this game, how confident am I that you can beat a team like they're going to have to be able to win games like the Broncos and the Seahawks coming into Washington? And frankly, those teams are substantially better than this Chicago team they just lost to.
Yeah. It's a tricky time if you're a Washington fan, but you do have to be. The saving grace is Jayden Daniels is coming back. I thought he looked really good most of the night tonight. You have one of the best quarterbacks in the conference, so you have that going for you. But next week at Dallas feels a little bit like a must-win here in Week 7 for Washington.
You cannot be below 500 after week 7 and think of yourself as a playoff team unless you're specifically the Baltimore Ravens.
Michael Morrill with the funny point here. He goes, the power rankings will be tough after 6 of their 10 picks all lost this week. That's what's unbelievable about this football season, right? Like I know that we have our controversial rankings every week, and it's because of the way our power rankings are. For those who don't know, we rank each team 10-1, but we each pick a team one at a time without seeing each other's list. So it leads to, if I believe in the Jaguars, or like Jack believed in the Jaguars and he had them in the top 10, it can leave a team out.
Well, yeah, and all 3 of Jack's selections in the power rankings lost this week in addition to his cap.
Yeah, no. I mean, that was just brutal. The Steelers will be making an appearance. I guarantee it for Jack this week. But I mean, anyone making their power rankings this week would have had the Eagles in there heading into the week. Everybody would have had the Bills in there coming into the week. Everyone would have had the Lions. Some people may have put the Jaguars towards the bottom, the 49ers. Like, it's just been
I'm
a
not sure
really
I'm going to update my power rankings much at all.
no, it's a strange year. Like, should the Patriots be in the top 10? I don't think New England's a top 10 team, but like, record wise, they're looking and how Drake May is playing. Maybe it's a really strange power ranking year because the juggernauts are not performing like juggernauts.
No, I mean, it's if you look at the 4 division winners last year in the AFC, the Bills are in huge danger of losing their division. The Ravens are in huge
Oh,
danger.
after tonight,
The
certainly.
Texans are out probably, and the Chiefs, I mean, the Chiefs will probably win their division, but like they're in 3rd place right now.
I'll tell you right now, the Chiefs are my number one team in the power rankings.
It
I
it
I have
feels crazy, but like what else? What else am I supposed to do? I might have the Bills at number 1. I might have the Lions at number 1.
you can't put Buffalo number one right now. you you can't. Buffalo at one is crazy to me. Obviously, you can't have Philly there. Detroit just lost to KC. Do you trust Tampa? Tampa at 5? Like, who are you
I
guys
mean,
putting at
I
number
don't
one?
want to hear that Buffalo is crazy because the Chiefs lost to the Jaguars just last week on the road.
Yeah, but beating Detroit the way they did, and then Buffalo losing to Atlanta and New England back to back, you can't have Buffalo at one.
I mean,
Here, people are talking about the Colts here. I think the Colts are
yeah, the
awesome.
problem is we don't actually know if the Colts are a good football team or not.
I think they're a good football. They're definitely a good
We don't
football
know if
team.
they're a great football
Yes,
team. We don't know if they're number 1 in the NFL level football team.
I think it'd be crazy. I think it would be genuinely insane to put the Colts at number one.
If if Kansas City and the Colts played on a neutral field, the Chiefs would be 5.5 point favorites.
Yeah, like the Chiefs have to be above the Bills or the Colts in power rankings, and that's not disrespectful to Indianapolis. Indianapolis is you
It's a
could put
little
them in top five.
disrespectful to Indianapolis. We're saying they're 5-1, and we still don't believe in them.
Let's see, we're seeing here Indy and Bucks are obviously top two.
I don't. I know. By the way, Bob Perecta says all power rankings before November are designed to engagement farm fan bases. I mean, I'm not
Not
gonna
totally wrong.
we
Like,
rank things as we need to, but that's absolutely true.
I
But I
mean,
like the thought that like power rankings after November are somehow more meaningful. Like the fact
like
that
the
like the
college
Paul
football
Farrington
playoff.
show week 18 power rankings, like it decide the balance of power in the NFL.
Yeah, it's like the CFP committee comes out and it's like, all right, now we can take this thing seriously.
I mean, I heard I've been on the phone with Roger Goodell. He's saying that if it weren't for Jack, the Paul Farrington show power rankings might determine playoff seeding.
No, well, I get what you're saying. What he's saying though, in that Philadelphia last year 2-2, week 5 rolls around, and then they catch fire. When you're doing those power rankings in week 12, the picture obviously is a lot fuller of who's going to be good, who's going to be actually be contending. Right now we have no idea. Are the Patriots? What are the odds on the AFC East right now, Ziggy? Do you
So
have
I
those?
was checking because I thought about betting the Patriots plus 300 to win the AFC East before that Buffalo game. They're now like plus 170.
They're plus 170, and where's New England?
Oh no, New England is plus
Oh, okay,
170.
okay. And Buffalo, what's Buffalo at? Do you have that?
Like minus 250.
Okay. Buffalo should still be the favorite, but the New England schedule is so light that it makes it interesting. And if we wind up with AFC division winners of New England, Pittsburgh, Indianapolis, and I still think they'll be the Chiefs. Like, what would that have paid out at the beginning of the year if you did a four teamer had those division winners? You're having a really really good January day.
I don't think anyone on this planet had that four-legger.
Insanity. But so Buffalo tonight, we're talking about the power rankings and how confusing this year is. Atlanta might be the most confusing team in all of football. Them and the Panthers. 24-14, the Falcons won tonight over Buffalo, and it was my buddy Carson, who's if anyone listens to Nerd Sesh, Carson and I were interns, or are intern, not anymore, but we came into the volume together as interns, and he's a big Buffalo fan. I saw he tweeted out, "That's the worst game I've seen Buffalo play in years," and it was one of the worst games I've seen Josh play in years. And I'm watching this game. Yeah, I had more of my attention on the Bears game, but I'm just looking over, and it felt like time and time again Atlanta was handing Buffalo opportunities to come back and take control of the game, and Buffalo, turnover on downs, They had the interception at the end, obviously, which didn't really matter too much. Um, I believe that they had 2 3 and outs in the fourth quarter. It just never it was one of those games for the Bills, but when you combine it with the New England loss, here they're sitting at 4 and 2, and I just don't know what you have in Buffalo right now either. I can't. I think they're still probably the number 2 team in the AFC to me. But a loss in Atlanta like this, do you chalk that up more to just a poor performance tonight, or are there some really concerning things with the Bills?
Two things. One is, can we get a happy birthday for Paul Farrington now that it's past midnight?
Thank you, thank you,
It's
Ziggy.
can we some happy birthdays in the chat for Paul? Second of all, am I worried about this Bills team? I will say, like, I don't think the Falcons are terrible. And I think I was talking with my roommate John before this game. The weakness of the Bills was their interior defensive line.
Hmm.
And Bijan Robinson matches up against that extremely well. I think he's probably the best running back the
Bijan
Bills are going to
is
have to
just
face
so
all
good.
year.
He's so good.
He's such a good player. Unfortunately, in the AFC, like you don't have to run through that. But I still think the Bills are good at football. There were a lot of injuries during this game, right? Khalil Shakir got hurt, Josh Allen got banged up. Obviously, getting your center hurt doesn't help either. They're going to go to Carolina and take care of business next week. But now, after people thinking, I think the Bills would roll the Chiefs, now on that November 2nd game in Buffalo, now I think people are going to start overlooking the Bills again. That game is going to tell us a lot about where power resides in the AFC.
Hmm. Hmm. It's
And the Bills usually win that one.
yeah, they need a bounce back performance. They have their bye right next week.
Yeah.
Yeah, then they got Carolina. Yeah, that'll be a nice bounce back. But again, Carolina's a weird team. If the Panthers beat the Bills, all of a sudden we have some really big Buffalo questions coming up. But Atlanta's another one, Ziggy. Think about the Falcons season, right? They have the and thank you to everyone in the chat right now. I'm seeing a bunch of happy birthdays here. So that's very nice of everyone. 27 today. Just kind of upper 20s officially. Kind of feels a little weird to
So
say
you're
that.
saying you're washed up. You're in your late 20s.
No.
You're recording a podcast in your parents' basement.
I guess that there are elements of being washed up. Certainly, yes. What I choose to look at, I call it the sitcom theory. I don't know if anyone else has this theory, because a lot of people will come up and they'll be like, "Yeah, like 27, like getting older." I'm like, "Well, if this were a sitcom, think of How I Met Your Mother, Friends, right? These shows. Season one, most of the characters start off about 27 years old. So for me, I'm in season one of whatever the sitcom is. And usually by season three, the characters need to start making some real life decisions or else their storyline. Otherwise, you turn into the Joeys of the world and you're like, all right, where's this character going? So I've got about 2 seasons worth of content before Paul Farrington really needs to have some some make or break decisions coming here. But that's just my sitcom theory. The Falcons, back to the Atlanta Falcons as a natural progression. Think about their year with the close loss to Tampa to open. Then they come and spank the Vikings in the horrible JJ McCarthy game. 30-0 loss against the against the Panthers. They then beat the Commanders without Jayden Daniels, and now they beat Buffalo at home, a game everyone picked the Bills to win. Like, what do you make of this Falcons team? I don't know. Like, Michael Penix has looked decent to me over the year. The one thing I do know is that Bijan Robinson, Drake London are as good a running back receiver duo as you'll find in football. And when they're on, which they were tonight, 170 on the ground for Bijan, 158 for Drake London, they can be tough to beat.
That is actually not my takeaway from this game. My takeaway from this game was that the Falcons plan to transform their defense this offseason. Maybe it hasn't been perfect. Maybe they've done things like give up 30 to Carolina, give up 27 to the Commanders. But you saw in this game the vision for what this team could be. And the defense did an excellent job tonight. 4 sacks on Josh Allen, making the Bills punt 6 times, getting 2 interceptions, holding the Bills to 2 for 9 on third down. Like, it's as much as we can talk about the Bills offense not having a lot of skill players, them sort of being up and down this year. That's Josh Allen, NFL MVP, one of the greatest quarterbacks to ever play the game in his prime. They held him to 180-yard, 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. Like the Falcons defense, their edge rushing pair has been as promised. The secondary is improved. Like everything about this team is better than it was last year. And at the end of the day, like if you're the Falcons and you were disappointed in how last year went, I'm certainly not saying they're an NFC contender, but there's teams that are trending up and there's teams that are trending down. You'd have to be a fool to not think this Falcons team is trending up, right?
They're certainly trending up. You still look at that Panther game with a lot of confusion. But yeah, where you beat the Bills at home the way they did tonight, and you have to say trending up. And we mentioned when they beat the Vikings, right, in that game, how they had been essentially the worst pass rushing team in football for the last 5 seasons. And they were aggressive this year in the draft. They moved up. They had two
They
first
were
round-
way too aggressive.
They were probably too aggressive, but they had James Pierce and they had Jalen Walker, who I loved coming out of Georgia, and those guys were great against Minnesota. But yeah, like they had to make a move. Maybe they were a little too aggressive, but the defense has certainly been playing better this year. And if they continue to improve, I see someone here says they're convinced. The Atlanta fans are convinced they're going to win the NFC South. I'm not so sure about that. But they're just another one of those teams that you could add into the mix for that NFC wildcard spot, along with the Bears, right? Maybe along with the Vikings. The Cowboys are probably in that group. I guess the Panthers are like somewhat in that group. We just don't really know what these teams are right now. It's just going to have to be another couple weeks of watching. But I like they're a fun team to watch. The Falcons. Anytime you can watch Bijan Robinson play, it's entertaining. It's a huge win for them. I mean, this is one that changes your outlook on the season if you're a Falcon fan.
Yeah, this is the sort of game that makes you think we can compete for a wild card spot. I mean, in some sense, like they haven't played against the Bucks this year. I know that, or I mean, they lost that one game. They last year they beat the Bucks twice and couldn't win the division. Losing one to the Bucks, I think, more or less rules you out already. But you've got enough cupcake games left on your schedule. This was the best team they will play all year, outside of maybe going to Tampa in December by a significant margin.
What I think is the most what I think is one of the funnier things about what we can do for every single team and what every single team can do, or a large handful of teams, is we can sit here and go, the Falcons have their next 5 games, the 49ers, the Dolphins, the Patriots, the Colts, the Panthers, the Saints. Every single, like all these teams, that we're saying the Falcons go to the 49ers, they should be able to, that could be a win. 49ers fans are going, we should be able to take care of Atlanta at home. You have Panthers fans going, we might be able to take down Atlanta. Like, why not? We beat them once. All these teams think they can beat the other one. And
there's one team I can think of that's not true for.
Well, there's
the Detroit Lions.
What? As far as like,
their upcoming games are tough. You host Tampa, you host the Vikings, you go to Washington, you go to Philly, you host the Giants, you host the Packers. Like, there's a lot of tough games there.
No, the Lions certainly. But I mean of the teams that, like the Patriots, right? The Patriots are looking at playing, if they're playing Atlanta, they're going, we should be able to win that game. Falcons fans are going, hey, that's a winnable game. And that's kind of fun. I'm really enjoying that aspect of this year where everyone feels like they're in contention and everybody feels like every game is winnable outside of a handful of teams on both ends.
I will say, though, New England, it is different. Outside of their game against Buffalo, which obviously they need to win for the division at home, they play one team that has amassed more than one win through week 6.
For who?
New England.
Oh, New England. Yeah, no, New England's, it's truly unprecedented.
These other schedules involve looking at teams of like 3 or 4 wins and saying they're not that good. The Patriots get to play actually exclusively bottom feeders, except for the Bucks.
Just to point out, because I see Seth says, "Oh, let's forget about the Lions." Ziggy doesn't mean forget about the Lions. He's saying that the schedule they have is objectively hard. It's not one where you point at the games and go, "That should be a win." They have a tough schedule here.
He's talking about you saying whatever. We're going to discard the Detroit Lions to talk about the New England Patriots, the Carolina Panthers, and the Atlanta Falcons.
Ziggy, is that your mom in the chat? Just
no comment.
Thank you, Mrs. Ziegler. Thank you, Mrs. Ziegler. If everyone wouldn't mind saying hi to Mrs. Ziegler,
No, they're going to be weird. You know, these
just
guys
say.
are going to be.
I'm just saying, say hello to Mrs. Ziegler. That's a
Someone's going to say something weird.
well.
I'm calling it right now.
Let's just be reasonable here for Ziggy's mother. But thank you, Mrs. Ziegler. I appreciate that. All right. So as we get ready to wrap this up here, I thought it was a pretty pretty entertaining night of football. If you told me walking into tonight that the Falcons would, I would say comfortably beat Buffalo and that the Bears would hit a game-winning field goal, I would have been pretty surprised. But here we are. That's just the nature of this NFL season. And who we got on Thursday? I haven't looked ahead just yet.
The Thursday night game.
Yeah, who's on Thursday?
It's a pretty disgusting game. It's Steelers-Bengals.
Steelers-Bengals. I don't have too much interest in that one. The Steelers should be able to take that.
It's funny that Joe says, make sure Mrs. Ziegler gets me a Christmas stuff loaded with green and gold. The only NFL merchandise my parents have ever gotten me is Packers themed.
Yeah, the poncho, right?
Yeah, 100% serious. The only NFL related thing my parents have ever gotten me is Green Bay Packers.
I was extremely
so all our
disappointed.
fans in the chat that are like Packers fans or whatever, just know my parents are on your side.
I hope the Steelers win that Thursday night game, get to 5-1, and then we're staring at a really, really fun Sunday night football game with the what should be 4-1-1 Green Bay Packers going to the 5-1 Pittsburgh Steelers in the Aaron Rodgers Jordan Love matchup. I mean, that'll just be awesome. I cannot wait for it.
I mean, honestly, if I'm a Packers fan, I'm thinking I've got to be there for that game. The tickets are not that expensive.
Jack was trying to
tickets. I'm being 100% serious. Tickets to that game cost less money than tickets to the Notre Dame Boston College game.
Yeah, who knows why that game is still so expensive? I can't even. All right, real quickly, just want to bounce through a couple of the super chats, and then we'll get out of here. Jorge Martinez says Washington gave them that game on a silver platter. Caleb still looks mid. He was missing every pass, got carried by that defense and Swift.
Wrong.
I disagree with that. Again, we could go back to talking about Washington giving it to them on a silver platter with the fumble, yes, but there were a lot of mistakes both ways. I thought Caleb actually looked pretty good. Ziggy will say Swift is the engine that goes and calls Wisconsin legend Jonathan Taylor tier 2 SMH. Ziggy's dissing at Jonathan Taylor. Maybe it's changed from where it was a few weeks ago, but that did upset me, Ziggy.
Look, when Jonathan Taylor is healthy, he's very good. And me saying that DeAndre Swift is the engine of the Bears offense does not mean I think he's one of the best running backs in the NFL.
Quasar says, remember when people thought this wasn't the best division in football? The Bears are better than 16 and last in division. It's an absolutely loaded NFC North. If JJ McCarthy can be decent, we're going to be looking at a really, really fun race. John says, all three of you picked Washington. You should consider creating a weekly PFS Kiss of Death award. I actually really like that. Maybe we'll do that during game picks. We'll have the Kiss of Death. As opposed to Squad Ride, it'll be the Kiss of Death. Jorge again says, this game for the Bears was like the Cowboys game against the Packers. They wanted to beat Washington. I absolutely agree with. I don't know if I think it was like the Packers against the Lions. Like the Packers,
this went both ways.
Yeah, the Packers had that game against Detroit circled. I think this is one that meant a lot to Chicago. And from M.2, happy birthday, Paul. Mrs. Ziegler, thank you for raising your son well. Well, thank you, M and Ziggy. There you go. How about that? Is that what you were looking for?
I'm pretty sure that M's saying that because M thinks I'm a Packers fan.
Maybe. I hope not. I hope not. All right, we'll wrap it up there. A lot of recording past couple days. 3 episodes over the past 2 days. We also record Andy Herman, which drops tomorrow morning with a little NFC recap.
Or if you're a member, you can watch it right now.
You can actually watch it right now if you're a member. Yes, you're right. That's out.
So or you can become a member if you want to find out what we said right away. It's believe it or not, you can now become a member on your iOS device. YouTube added that for us just a couple of weeks ago.
Oh, did they? It's about time. That was ridiculous. So yeah, you can become a member on your iOS device or go to the channel homepage, select join member, and you can become part of the PFS army, as we call it. Weston's been in it for 16 months right here, it says. So yeah, you get some perks when you're in the army. It's a lot of competitions that we do, giveaways. We'll do an update on that in the prediction episode coming out. But yeah, you could go check out our Packer reaction. We had a Lion reaction last night. The Andy Herman show is open for members. It'll be out 6 a.m. tomorrow morning. And then tonight's episode, appreciate everybody. We held basically the majority of viewers this entire show. So thank you guys very much for sticking around and engaging. Appreciate the birthday wishes too. Thank you, Ziggy. That was very nice of you. You remembered a little shout out directly at midnight there. I appreciate it.
I was watching. I had a little alarm. I'm like, if this react goes long enough, we're going to take care of Paul.
No, thank you. Thank you very much. Well, we're doing well. We're doing well. Can't complain. Everything's going great. All right. There it is. Just hit 50 minutes on the stream. We'll wrap it up here. Everyone have a very nice Monday night. Hope you have a great week. And we'll see you tomorrow morning with Andy and Thursday for predictions. All right. End it there. And then...